Okay, so I honestly, I debated about making this video. Like, this is one of those videos that I honestly had to make it, just like talk myself into, because I felt so called to do it. I felt so called to come and speak to you about what I need to speak to you about today, but I didn't want to, right? Have you ever had that? Like, you need to do something, but you don't want to do it. That's this video right here. So I want to preface this. So I got into a YouTube video with Francis Chan and Gavin Larland, which, by the way, is fantastic, just absolutely fantastic. And they're talking about the Eucharist and communion and the church and the Reformation and Catholic and Orthodox issues. It was a great video. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I saw some blaring misconceptions about the Catholic and Orthodox churches in this video. So with that part, I'm like, not so great. But the rest of the video was awesome. And I'm not going to, this video is not critiquing that, but it got me thinking. It got me thinking about some issues that I have seen pop up. And one of these issues is today is October 31st. Most people call it Halloween, but there's a lot of people right now that celebrate this day as Reformation Day, right? Oh, look at the Reformation Day. And they're celebrating this day and acting like it's the greatest day ever in the church. Now, I'm going to be totally transparent with you. At one point, before I left Protestantism, I was the same way. I used to celebrate it. And then even before I left the Baptist church, it hit me one day. And this is what I want to talk about real quick. It hit me one day that I am celebrating the division of the church. Like, that's what Reformation Day is. When we celebrate this day, we're celebrating the division of the church. Because, to be perfectly honest, Martin Luther did not reform the church. Martin Luther started his own branch of Christianity in that moment, and then more and more came afterwards. But it was 100% division of where we are today. Now, I'm not trying to put words in or thoughts into Martin Luther's head. It might have been, he might have thought he was doing everything great and it was the right thing to do. And who knows, maybe it was. But the fruits of what came out afterwards is devastating. It's division. 500 plus years of absolute division in the church. And it doesn't matter if you're a Protestant, Catholic, or Orthodox. It doesn't matter which branch you fall in. We should not be celebrating a day that brought division, right? Jesus in John 17:20 through 23, like he talks about this. Jesus prays for all believers to be one, just as he and the Father is one, so that the world may believe that God sent him. Like Jesus, like right here in John 20, he's like, you guys need to be one. You guys need to be unified. Like, it was so important to him that in these moments that, Jesus only had, not very much time at this time, like between, everything was going on between the crucifixion and the resurrection and the ascension. Like, everything he said at this point in his ministry is so important that we need to listen to. Everything Jesus says is so important, but especially at this moment, to be united. And then in 1 Corinthians 1:10, Paul appeals for believers to agree with one another, so there will be no divisions among them. See, this one is, we don't agree with each other, so we just split. Now, it happened, with the schism between Orthodoxy and Catholicism. It happened then. And it's happened in the Protestant Reformation. But in the Protestant Reformation, we see divisions upon divisions upon divisions, like right away. Like right away it's happening. It just gets worse and worse. And we celebrate that. Like, as a Protestant, I did celebrate that. But about a couple of years before I left Protestantism, before I left the Baptist church, it hit me one day. I'm like, why am I celebrating this division? It doesn't make sense to celebrate division. Jesus himself calls for unity. Paul calls for unity, and yet we're celebrating. Like, I always think about the Civil War, right? We never celebrate the beginning of the Civil War, right? We don't say, oh man, the Civil War started, I can't remember what day. On this day, we need to celebrate it. No, we don't celebrate that. We celebrate the end of the Civil War, the end to the division, the end to the fighting. So today, on this Reformation Day, if you will, I'm going to ask you all, instead of celebrating the division of the church and the subsequent divisions after the initial division, why don't we see how we can talk to each other? Let's see how we can dialogue to each other to find unity. This isn't just a Catholic Protestant thing. This isn't a Catholic Orthodox Protestant. It doesn't matter. This is even a Baptist Lutheran, right? This is a Presbyterian Pentecostal. This is those. We need to find unity with each other. This is a Catholic Protestant thing. This is a Catholic Orthodox Protestant. We need to come together. We need to find unity. Because when we're divided as believers in Christ, when we're divided, we are playing right into the enemy, right into the enemy's hands. We are allowing our divisions to allow us to gain more and more separation, right? We're allowing our misconceptions of each other to drive our division. Because let's talk for this about just for 2 seconds, right? Like a lot of these misconceptions that we have about different denominations, and Protestants have about Catholics, and Orthodox have about Protestants and Catholics, and all the way around, right? A lot of them are misconceptions. A lot of them are just not understanding, not having a conversation, being shut off to a conversation. It's not about changing each other's minds or changing each other's denominations. It's not about that. It's about having unity in the thing that unites us, which is Jesus. And then we can have conversations about everything else, but we don't do that because we have so many misconceptions about each other that we drive the division further. And then we spread these misconceptions to make it even worse. Like I've seen so many people come out with videos about the Catholic Church and how like they believe this and they believe that, and it's absolutely false. And I've seen the other way around, like Protestants think all Catholics going to hell. Now some people do, but there's most Protestants don't think that. We need to stop believing the lies. We need to stop the conversation. We need to stop listening to the opposition of something and start listening to what people have to say to form unity. How cool if this would be the last October 31st, the last Reformation Day that we have where the church is unwilling to talk to each other. What if this year we start talking to each other, having conversations, being united in Christ? Let our disagreements and everything else, let that be a focal point of conversation and debate, but through charity and love, not through division and hate, because that's where we are right now. So today I'm not celebrating Reformation Day because it's a day that the church split. It's a day that unity stopped, right or wrong. That is what today is. So with that, God bless you. Okay, bye.